Hi, I'm Marisa Mariella, and I'm cooking up pizza on the barbecue for Hamilton City Magazine. Summer means easy entertaining, and there's nothing easier than barbecue pizza. Who needs pizza delivered to your house? Wait till you see how fast this is, economical, and oh so tasty. We're doing it two methods. One is going to be the old-fashioned way, the way that my mom and dad used to make pizza. There were no measuring cups, there were no scales, everything was by eye. So I'm going to do a version of that, and then I'll show you the really easy way. Okay, so what kind of flour? You could use all-purpose flour, and it's going to work out just fine. I've got here pizza flour and a doppio zero. So this kind of flour is what gives pizza that fluffiness, that lightness to it. Doppio zero flour is really a wonderful flour, low in gluten, and so that makes it really easy on the stomach. You know, some people say that they can go to Italy and eat as much pizza as they want without feeling bloated, and it's probably because of the flour that they use. So while I'm using doppio zero, you can use all-purpose, and I do that, and I really look for the unbleached all-purpose flour. So that's about 3 cups of this. I'm going to mix it with this one here. This is a pizza flour, so this one here has a little bit more protein to it, a little bit more gluten, so maybe 2 cups of this. Okay, remember what I said, that we're not really measuring things? So I want you to get used to the texture of the dough, and I've got here some semolina flour. Look at that beautiful color. That gives it a little bit more flavor as well. Okay, so we're doing it the old-fashioned way. We're going to make a well. And if this makes you feel a little nervous, it's okay. Just embrace that. We're going to add the yeast, and I'm using the quick rise yeast. You could use, I'm going to use about 5 teaspoons. You could use the fresh yeast. Oh, that's so lovely to use. Maybe next time I'll show you that one. Was that 2? I think that was 2, 3, 4, and 5. And you know what? Even if I had put 1 less or 1 more, it would still work out just fine. Okay, I'm gonna just mix that in with my fingers. Yes, fingers, that's what we do. We're gonna play with our food and keep my well. And because I'm using instant yeast, my water is very, very warm. My fingers are clean. If I put my finger in there, it's definitely warm. Not boiling, but definitely warm. If you were using just regular yeast, then certainly you would want lukewarm. Okay, I'm looking here because me too, I get a little nervous. I'm using 2 fingers here, and I'm just working it in. Look at this. As a child, didn't you go outside and play with the mud? And sometimes on the beach, right, you're playing with the sand. Let's embrace that playfulness when we're cooking and not get so uptight about the mess. We're going to add about a teaspoon or so of sugar, maybe a little bit more. The yeast like to eat that sugar. That's what gives it life to it. And about maybe a tablespoon of salt. So there's so much controversy about when do you add the salt, when do you add the oil. I don't really get hung up on that because it all works out. Okay, so you see what's happening? It's all working out. I'm going to add a little bit more water. Are you feeling nervous? I'm going to show you what if the well were to break, okay? Let's see what happens here. I'm going to add a little bit more water. Hopefully the camera can see this. I'm going to purposely break my well and let the water spill out. Okay, so let's say that happens. Just get a little flour and put it on top, and don't panic. Don't panic. We know that life is messy. Sometimes, you know, it's because of our own decisions. Sometimes messes are thrown on us. But in the end, there's no mess that we can't clean up. Sometimes we need a little help, and that's fine too. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit more water. So how much water do we add? How much of the flour? Well, it's what my mom and my mother-in-law used to say. How much ever it needs. Well, I remember as a kid or a teenager saying, well, what does that mean, right? But as you experience the dough, you realize that the dough will tell you when it's enough. So right now, it doesn't even look like pizza dough. So I'm gonna keep adding water and add that flour in there. There we go. And see, it's only 2 fingers that are messy. Some people think that, if it's too messy, I don't want to be in the kitchen doing that. Let's embrace it. Imagine having your children in here, or maybe grandchildren. Show them how simple, humble ingredients can make such delicious food. And very economically too. Okay, so I'm gonna add a little bit more water, and I think maybe that's enough. So I'm gonna use a bench scraper. If you have a spatula, you can use that. And we're going to let the spatula or the bench scraper, there we go, do all the work. So you see what happened? I'm just mixing in that flour, and now it's beginning to look a little bit more like the dough. Wait till you see the machine method. You'll realize how easy it is to do it that way. But this, I don't know, this is a little bit more rewarding for me. You know, when you're doing a dough like this, if you know, you know. It's very therapeutic. It's very calming. It's just a lovely way to spend a little time in the kitchen. Okay, so to me that looks a little dry, right? I think you can tell. This is what's called like a shaggy dough. So I'm gonna add a little bit more water, okay? And now I'm gonna get in there with my hands. Get to know your ingredients. Okay, so here we go. So right now this is not kneading. Right now I'm just trying to put it together so it looks like a mass, one mass. Okay, can you tell the difference already, how it's changing? So I'm just gonna clean up my fingers here a little bit. Okay, and I'm gonna get a little bit more flour. There we go, the wind is blowing it away. There we go, that's all right. Oh, I love eating outside and cooking outside. Oh, I don't know, it's just so soothing. Look at the difference in the dough already. Look at that. So I'm gonna clean off my fingers, scrape up that dough, and time to do a little work. Never mind going to the gym. You're gonna do your workout doing this. So we're kneading the dough. So what am I doing? In slow motion, I am stretching the dough and folding it on top. Turn. I'm stretching the dough and folding it on top of itself. Turn. Okay, there you go. And once you get the hang of it, and it does take a little practice, but then it kind of looks like you're just caressing the dough and giving it a little hug. You can tell already how the dough is changing. Right? Just be mindful of what's happening to that yeast in this dough. It's working very hard to produce a beautiful dough for you, and ultimately a delicious pizza. Okay, so I'm going to stay at work here. I'm actually putting my whole upper body into it. So I'm going to do this for about 10 minutes, and I'll show you the trick to know when you're done. So how do you know that you're done? When you're tired. When you're out of breath, that tells you you're probably done. Okay, so the dough is a little tacky. It's supposed to be tacky, okay? So don't get too nervous about that. And if I put my finger in the dough, it bounces right back. Okay, there we go. That's the gluten, right? That's in there that makes it bounce back. I remember my mom, sometimes she would whack the dough as well. Anyway, maybe she was just mad. I don't know. Anyway, I think this dough, look how beautiful that is. And if you just kind of caress it, it really does feel like a baby's bottom. And if you want to look really professional, okay, I don't know if I can do it, but you'll see all these professional bakers, they take the dough and they roll it against the surface. And what that does is stretches the top surface of the dough. So if you were making bread, it really does create a beautiful crust. There it is. For making pizza, it doesn't matter, but it feels good doing that. Okay, so I have a bowl, and you could grease it, you put a little flour. Usually I don't even do any of that. There we go. Put it in. I'm gonna cover that up with plastic wrap, and it's going to rest and rise. How long? Well, because we used a quick rising yeast, half hour, 45 minutes, and it'll be ready. But honestly, if you could let a slow fermentation occur, that means like put it in the fridge overnight, the dough will be much fluffier. It'll be crispy on the outside, chewy on the inside. The flavor develops more. And in fact, you could let it ferment for 2 or 3 days in the fridge. It's a little bit dangerous because you could just go and pick off a little bit, make yourself some pizza, and do that every single day. Anyway, nighty-night to the dough, and I'll show you what happens. Let's try the easier method. Not as fun, but it still will give you a beautiful dough. So I encourage you to try the different kinds of flours. This time I'm going to use the all-purpose flour. And I think you get the idea of what you're looking for. A lot of people are going to be talking about high hydration doughs. Again, I think back to the way my mom and dad used to bake pizza. And I think once you get used to the texture, you'll just find what works for you. So I think that was maybe 5 cups of flour, and maybe I'll put in a little bit of this pizza flour here. I won't use any of the semolina flour this time. And even the yeast, you can add a little less yeast. But for me, I think the 5 teaspoons for the 6 cups of flour or so. I lost track. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. If you're using a regular yeast, then you'll have to have that bloom in warm water. Maybe I'll explain that another time what that means. We're going to add a little bit of salt to the water. Some people don't even add salt to their pizza dough. That was sugar. That's okay. I think I added a little bit more sugar than a normal. That's all right. It's gonna be all good. I didn't add any olive oil to the last one, but I will add olive oil. Even this, a tablespoon, 2, 3, 4, let's go 5. 5 tablespoons of olive oil. That's going to give it a really beautiful texture and lots of flavor to it. So I want that sugar and salt to dissolve. I'm giving it a little stir. Dump it all in. Remember, the water is supposed to be very, very warm. And now I'm going to let the machine do all the work, and I can take a rest. I'm rested for sure. I didn't have to work so hard, but I don't know. I always think that this is a little bit messier and more cleanup, I think. So the dough, this one needed a little bit more flour than what I had intended. But again, you have to kind of go by the feel. And I just want to show you, it does come together and it's a little bit tacky. And you could knead it a little bit more if you wanted to, but really it's done. So I'm going to put it in the bowl, cover it up with plastic wrap, and let's give it some rest. When I make pizza dough, I make tons of pizza dough. I just want to show you some of the differences here. This one here is a high hydration dough. So you wouldn't be able to knead this, but to develop the gluten, what you would do is, maybe every hour or so, lift it and kind of just stretch it and fold it in on itself like this. Look at this. So you would do this once in a while and keep it in the fridge a day or two. And then I would just pour this. See how pourable it is? I would pour that in a pan and make focaccia. Okay, we'll save that for another time. All right, let me show you another one. This one is not as hydrated, let's say, right? It has less water, and you can tell the structure of it is a little firmer, but still quite loose. So this one too, you wouldn't be able to knead it the way that I showed you the other one, just because it has so much water in it. So again, what you would do is lift it up and stretch it. And actually, you could even use your own fingers to pick it up. Look at this, see that? And just fold it in on itself. Maybe do this 3 or 4 times, cover it up, put it back in the fridge, and it'll be ready to go. This is the one we're gonna use, but I do want to show you the one that I just kneaded. Remember I said it'd be ready in about a half hour? Look, it's ready. And how do I know? If I poke it with my finger, do you see that the indentation holds? It doesn't bounce up again, right? That means that everything has relaxed and it's actually ready to use for pizza dough. But I'm gonna keep this in the fridge and I'm gonna make pizza tomorrow. and it'll do even better. Okay, so this one is the one we're going to use. And so I think this one, let's see, I think I used the doppio zero, and I used some semolina and some of the pizza flour. And I'm gonna put it on my board. I have to tell you about my board. My dad made this for me. He made one for my mom. And then he noticed that after I got married, I really liked making dough. And so he made one for me too. So my dad has long gone, but I try to use this board as often as I can because again, it just adds to the experience. Okay, here's this beautiful dough. Plop, there it is. Okay, so we're going to actually bake this in the barbecue. And people always ask, well, doesn't it fall through the grates? And it doesn't. If you use the high hydration dough, I think you'd have some problems there. But I'm going to just cut up some pieces. And really it depends on what size you want. Imagine if you had your family and friends over and you had the pizza dough ready, and then people could actually prepare their own pizza. That would be so much fun. Okay, so this dough is so workable that I can just use my fingers to stretch it out. And now how thick or how thin, that really depends on your preference. You know, you could actually try flipping it up. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to show off. I can't do it anyway. But anyway, the idea is to spread this out, and there's no way that you can go wrong on this, okay? I think some of these things that you see on social media, they complicate it so much that it intimidates people. So a 4-year-old could do this, okay? So I'm just spreading it out with my fingers. You can even stretch it out. And you notice the shape I'm using? The reason for this is I find it's a little bit easier to work with on the barbecue. You could do it round. You could do any shape you want. It doesn't matter. Okay, so there's one. I'm gonna do a few more and then we'll go to the grill. So my pizza dough is ready, and remember what I said, you can even just stretch it out. To make it a little bit easier for yourself, I use parchment paper and I put the dough right on. And again, you can stretch it out a little bit, make whatever shape you want. And then you're going to brush the surface with a little bit of olive oil. So you're gonna actually flip this on to your grill. And I'm gonna show you how. My grill has been preheated. It's as hot as it can be. It's registering 600, so it is very, very hot. Okay, wish me luck. Ready, and flip. Yeah, that was pretty easy. I'm gonna do another one. A little bit of olive oil. You could grease the grates, but honestly, I think this is just as easy. Okay, and it's going on the grill. I'm going to flip it this way. Yeah. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. And I'm going to take a little peek just to make sure that it's not burning. Looking good. I'm going to close that up and just turn that side down because it's very, very hot. In the meantime, I'll get the other ones. So what we're doing is we are cooking the bottom. We're going to flip it over. And then we'll add the toppings, and I'll show you all the interesting toppings I have. The pizza dough is ready. It is fully cooked. And if you wanted to have this for a party, you could have your pizza doughs already ready to go. And then your guests could just dress them. So I'd like to show you the tomato slices. Sorry, it's not tomato slices, tomato sauce. It's just the chunky tomatoes. I use a nice San Marzano tomato from Italy, and I dress it with some extra virgin olive oil. We're gonna add some salt. I don't see where the salt is. And we're gonna give this a little stir. We can add some oregano to it. So just keep it very simple and very fresh. All right, let's dress the pizzas. Okay, how about on this one, I'm going to add some of the sauce on it. Try not to let it go to the grate because otherwise it'll start to steam. And look at all my toppings. I have to tell you about my toppings. I have here Asiago, not the one that you're thinking of with the black rind. This one, you notice it says Asiago there. This one's from Italy. It is not as salty, beautifully creamy, a little punch to it. It's really nice on top of pizza. I have some cacciatore sausage, some mushrooms that I sauteed, some grilled asparagus, bocconcini, rapini. Look at this. Rapini on pizza with some Italian sausage. This one here is from Nardini, such a good quality sausage. Some leftover roasted vegetables that we had for dinner last night. We're ready to go. So we have pizza for dinner, but we're also having pizza for dessert. So this chocolatey spread, this one's from Italy, and you can tell because it's a glass jar. It's not as sweet. I don't know, do you think that's enough? So I'm going to just spread that and let it warm up. And to make it even more indulgent, I have a sweet ricotta. So this is just plain ricotta, and I whipped it up with a little bit of sugar and a little bit of vanilla. Shall we put that on top? Okay. We're going to let this heat up. The cheese is going to melt, and we'll be ready to serve. I'm ready to use this. So we're going to just take them off. I don't even know how to use one of these. That's okay. We're going to just play along. I'd rather use one of these. Here we go. There. Oh, call everyone to the table. Delicious. Almost lost that one. Let me just move them over. Leave my strawberries there. Look at how gooey that cheese went. Push these over. Let's get dessert. Look at that. All right. So, how do we cut these up? I think I'm going to start maybe with the rapini one with the sausage. Oh, look at that. You see how gooey that cheese is? Look at that, beautiful. Okay, so I like to do just little fingers. That way, people can try a few different slices. There. Maybe this one too with the pineapple. How many of you like pineapple on their pizza? I'm not judging you. Honestly, I'm not. All right, and I'm gonna go straight to the dessert, okay? Like, let's just skip everything else. And I don't have a little knife here. I'm gonna just use my little spatula here. Put some strawberries. Okay, people are judging me thinking, what is she doing? You know what? It's summer, we're outside. Let's just relax. A little bit of icing sugar. How much would you pay for that at a restaurant? Okay, let's just clean that off. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna use the scissors. That way we don't contaminate it. Okay, I just can't wait to just dig into this. Can you hear the crunch? Look at the bottom. Look at that. Okay, dare I try this? It's gonna be so hot. Mmm. Mmm. Wow. So crunchy, fluffy on the inside. That topping is so good. I'm gonna work my way through. Please try this at home. Call your family and friends and make pizza. Ciao for now. We'll see you next time. I'm Marisa Mariella for Hamilton City Magazine.
Marisa's Easy Kitchen is made possible with the support of Nardini Specialties. You simply must come in for the Nardini's experience.